welcome to Tableside Talk. My name is Cam Kelly. I am a commercial real estate broker with the Langert Commercial Group. To my right is Evan Langert.
Hi everyone, I am the principal and founder of the Langert Commercial Group. We're a team of commercial real estate brokers located here in Maryland. We serve all of Maryland, DC, and Northern Virginia. I'm also a practitioner of commercial real estate for the past 37 plus years. My background includes being a broker for the last 15 or so, but prior to that being the head transactional attorney for some pretty large companies, one of which was a publicly traded REIT that I was with for 9 years. So what we're trying to do with these tableside talks is to just take some of the knowledge, some of the deals that I've worked on, some of the experiences that I've gathered, and give some of that information to you in the hopes that they'll help you with your transaction or give you some other things to think about when you're looking at properties. And with that in mind, Cam, what's our topic today?
So Evan, today we'll be discussing the value of building. I know in the past you've mentioned that there are numerous factors that go into what a building would actually be worth, and I was hoping today you could discuss some of the considerations that go into the value of a property.
Okay, that's a loaded topic. There's a lot of information there, and there's not a singular answer. Some properties are income producing properties where you buy them as an investment to make money off of. Others are what we call owner user properties. In other words, you've got a business that you want to house somewhere, an office building say, or a warehouse, an office warehouse, and you're buying it to occupy. You're not buying it, you're buying it because you don't want to pay rent to somebody. You'd rather pay rent to yourself, but you're buying it to occupy rather than just for the cash flow of it. So those are different. I'm just thinking of a classic investment. They're what we call single tenant, triple net properties. They've got one tenant in them. That's the single tenant part. Triple net means that the tenant's paying all the taxes, the insurance, the common area maintenance on it, so it doesn't come out of the owner's pocket. And if you have a major national tenant, I use sometimes Dollar General as an example because I've done a number of Dollar General deals. They have a long-term lease. They're in there. They pay a certain amount, and there's a national market for those properties. So now what they're worth depends on where they are. Some are more rural, some are on low traffic area streets, and some are on high. Some are of different construction, and then how much time is left in the lease. There's typically a 15-year lease. Do you have 15 years of term left on this one, or do you have 3 years left on this one? And those things go into the valuation of those types of properties. But within those few aspects of the description, it's not that hard to come up with an approximate value for those properties. Similarly, there could be office condos where a lot of them have sold. If you have a complex where 9 condos have sold in the last year, and you're selling a 10th one, and they're all kind of fungible, they're pretty much the same, it's not that hard to come up with a value. And oftentimes that's not on the income like the Dollar General and the cap rates that go with that are, but they're more on a market or sales approach. Like this one sold for $200 a square foot, that one sold for $210, this one sold for $215, and you kind of look in there. And so, that goes into some of those sales. And then there are some that are much more difficult. I'm thinking of, say, an empty old warehouse building. Some of these that I've come across where the value depends on who's looking at it, and the value can be very different from one person to the next. So if somebody looks at it and says, well, it's empty and I'm an investor, but if I can get a really good deal on it and I can get this thing leased up, then I can make a pretty penny for myself. They're typically not going to pay as much for the property because it is an investment property and it is empty. It's got, if it's fully empty, zero income. So they're not going to pay as much for it. An owner user might pay more because the building might be exactly what they want. They fix it up a little bit, and yes, they're interested in the economics of it, but they're also interested in, this is a perfect home for us. It's perfect commuting distance for our employees, for our executives. It's located near our biggest client or our biggest suppliers. So this is a good building for us to have, and they'll oftentimes, not always, just take a longer term view that's not as economically driven. And then depending on the zoning of the building, you might have a developer. So this old warehouse may have, the area might be growing, have a lot more retail that's coming there, has a lot of projects that are going up, condos and things along that line. And somebody might look at it and say, you know, I'd like to knock down that old warehouse and put up a new restaurant, you know, because I'm a franchisee for that restaurant. I'm thinking of a steakhouse chain, a big national one that I did some work for a few years. And they used to look at these things and say, well, our construction is such that we can never use the buildings because our construction is very specific. So that building's of no value. As a matter of fact, it's a cost to us to knock it down. And so their position was, we're really looking at this as a land play. We don't want to pay anything for the building. Competitive pressures might lead us to have to pay something for the building. But they're really looking at it and saying, what would our sales be here? How's our business gonna be here, our restaurant business? Not so much of a real estate play. Then if say it's zoned for condos, you could have a condo developer and they're gonna look at it and say, how many condos is the jurisdiction gonna allow us to put here? How much can I get for them? What's it gonna cost me to build them? And then they look at all that and the return that they wanna get, and then they'll often back into a number, which is based on all that stuff, here's what I can afford to pay for the land. And so they're going to value it completely differently than any of those other parties. So, and there are more of those situations than you might think. So it's hard to give a singular answer. There just isn't one. It's a property by property, or at least property type by property type scenario. Part of it's dependent on zoning in certain circumstances. You know, what can we build here that's not what this is? So yeah, like I told you, it's a loaded topic, a lot that we can talk about. If you are looking at investing in something and you want to talk about how it might be valued, I do have a lot of background in this, have been friends with and connected with a lot of MAI appraisers and picked a lot of knowledge off of their brains. So, you know, give us a call. We make ourselves easy to find. Information should be on this video. And then we do free consultations. So if you want to know more about your specific situation, please get in touch with us. And we're looking forward to meeting you and talking with you. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.